Last night, we got major news updates on the Brandon Aiyuk and 49ers situations. Basically, if you haven't seen the news, there is skeleton deals done with the Cleveland Browns and the New England Patriots, and it's now up to Aiyuk whether he wants to stay with the Niners on what we assume is a discount, but he gets to play for a contending team, or whether he wants to sign a new deal with the Browns or the Patriots. Now, there's some rumors floating out that the Patriots are offering a little bit more money, but the Browns are offering him a chance to stay competitive on a good team. But today, I want to look at what this means for the Niners, what it would mean for the Browns, and what it would mean for the Patriots, and why this is all kind of happening. So basically, just a quick rewind if you haven't been caught up. Brandon Aiyuk wants to get paid. He's coming up on a contract year next year, and he wants to be paid like a top wide receiver in the league. But the Niners are skeptical to do so. They have a lot of big contracts themselves, from Nick Bosa to Javon Hargrave they signed in free agency, to Debo getting paid, to Brock Purdy coming up, to Christian McCaffrey, to George Kittle. They have a lot of contracts, so they're not willing to pay him what he wants. He requested a trade a while ago, and they haven't traded him. And part of what I think the Niners are handling is so horribly is either you pay him, which I think you should. I mean, it's a dream when you draft him at the end of the first round for him to become this good. That's the greatest opportunity to pay him. But if you're not going to pay him, I don't know why they didn't trade him before the draft. But then they go and draft Ricky Pearsall, which pretty much sends the signal, hey, Aiyuk or Debo's gone. And people were more skepticizing they would re-sign Aiyuk and maybe deal Debo. But now Debo is staying. So here we are in this day with that trade request coming up. So let's start from the Niners' point of view, and then we'll move on to these other teams and what it means. So from the Niners' point of view, if Aiyuk really is going to leave, what does that mean for their team? Now, the two teams that they're talking about, the Browns and the Patriots, part of those trades that was leaked was that the Browns would be getting Amari Cooper to the 49ers in return for Brandon Aiyuk. So that is honestly probably best case scenario for the Niners, because they get to replace Brandon Aiyuk with, now Amari Cooper's not as good as Brandon Aiyuk right now, but replace him with a win now guy, because they're in their championship window. They need a win now. So they replace him with a receiver that's already there. And then they rock Debo, Amari Cooper, and then Ricky Pearsall still has that third wide receiver role. And they have that good replacement. Whereas the New England Patriots, the rumors are Kendrick Bourne would be part of that deal going back to the 49ers. In which case, Kendrick Bourne's a good receiver. He used to play in San Francisco. That's where he was before New England. And he was pretty good there, but I don't know if he necessarily slots in as their number two receiver. I think if the Browns trade happens, Amari Cooper slides in as honestly their number one, number two with Debo. I mean, Debo's almost like so weird. He's not like a true number one receiver, because like he gets used in the backfield and the slot more. But it would be those two, and then Ricky Pearsall and Juwan Jennings kind of in the background. Whereas I think if the trade happens with the New England Patriots and Kendrick Bourne, I think Ricky Pearsall, his value just goes through the roof, especially in like fantasy and stuff. You want to get Ricky Pearsall, because I think he could be that true number two. And especially if Kendrick Bourne comes back and the receiving core is Debo, Ricky Pearsall, Kendrick Bourne, and Juwan Jennings. The thing is, that Debo's role is just such like a, it's such a weird like role where like he's getting these jet sweeps, these runs, he's being used as a decoy. He's not like a high target kind of guy. So there's still a room for like a number one target receiver, and that could be Ricky Pearsall if Debo leaves. So go snag. If he goes to the Patriots, Ricky Pearsall is a must-have in fantasy football. Keep that in mind. But I think that hurts the 49ers opportunity for a championship a little more if he goes to the Patriots. Now they're getting draft compensation for both these back, and maybe I assume it's more draft compensation from the Patriots than it would be from the Browns. But those are the two. The one team I'm surprised, maybe a little surprised, isn't more in on this trade is the Las Vegas Raiders. I always thought would be an interesting Aiyuk team, because they could basically flip Devontae Adams and Aiyuk, and it's kind of a similar situation to Amari Cooper, where now the Niners are getting a guy in Devontae Adams who is an elite receiver that can help them win right now, but a little bit older, and the Raiders get a younger wide receiver in a team that they're trying to compete. I mean, they got Max Crosby, they signed Christian Wilkins. Like, this is a team trying to compete, so they still get that elite receiver, but he gets a bit younger, and they have more cap space to work around that. But that's not rumored. What is rumored is those two teams. So that's the 49ers perspective. I think their best case scenario is getting Amari Cooper and some picks from the Browns, still being competitive now, but getting that future draft capital. Obviously, the best case scenario is re-sign him, but if they trade him, that's best case. Now, moving on to the other side, the Browns situation. If you're the Browns, you got to kind of win now. You got Deshaun Watson on a $260 million contract. Myles Garrett's in his prime. You got this young defense that you haven't had to pay a lot of the guys yet. So this is kind of a win now mode. They traded for Jerry Jeudy, and Njoku's entering his prime right now. this is a win now team, and I think Ayuk is just. I guess I kind of understand it for them, because Ayuk is probably a better player than Amari Cooper, and he'll be there for longer than Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper's on the back end of his career, whereas Ayuk is just entering his prime right now. So I kind of get it, but I wouldn't say like the Browns acquiring Ayuk jumps them to the next tier of team. I still think they're still in that same tier because I think right now Amari Cooper and Brandon Aiyuk will have similar production. Like I said, Ayuk's a little bit better and he's definitely younger. He's a more valuable asset, but like I don't think Aiyuk takes them to the next level as a team. So for the Browns, I get it depends on what else. If it's just like Amari Cooper in a second or third round pick, I see it. But if there's like Amari Cooper in a first, I mean, that's going to be pretty rich for Ayuk then. I don't think it really takes them to the next level. So I don't understand it as much. If you look from the Patriots side, the other team rumored in the deal, I get it because what we've always seen is this huge movement lately of you get a young QB, then you want to put a proven wide receiver with that young QB to help their progression. We saw this. The most well-known one was Josh Allen getting Stephon Diggs, really took his game to the next level, and you kind of see that around. Kyler Murray got D-Hop a couple years ago, took his game to the next level. Jalen Hurts got A.J. Brown, took his game to the next level. So we see it every year where these quarterbacks get this true proven receiver one when they're young, and it kind of helps them progress their game. So that's what they want to do with Drake May. They got Drake May, a young guy, and their receivers are not looking great now. They got like a mixed match of Kendrick Bourne, Jalen Polk, Javon Baker. I like a lot of the dudes there, but they're all young. You want a dude who's proven, who can help your quarterback develop. And Brandon Aiyuk is just that. So I understand the thought process of the Patriots of, hey, let's get this dude in here and help Drake, because Drake May has nothing right now on that offense. Give him something that can help him progress and help us see what we have, because like if you're out there with Drake May and he's throwing to Jalen Polk and Javon Baker, two rookies, and then Kendrick Bourne, if he struggles, you're going to keep talking yourself in year after year like, hey, he doesn't have the weapons, he doesn't have this, he doesn't have that. You put Brandon Aiyuk in that offense, give him his first year, it's his rookie year, but by his second, third year, if you have Aiyuk in that offense and he's still not producing, there's no question marks of, is Drake May the guy? It's like, hey, we have this proven receiver, he still can't make it work. Now we know for the future where to go. You don't have this just excuse of bad weapons. So I like going out and getting the receiver. Maybe it's a year too early, but I don't mind it from the Patriots. I mean, I don't know what they're giving up. I assume it's Kendrick Bourne in a first, for Aiyuk, but you also have to pay him, so I understand it from the Patriots. I'm surprised the Steelers aren't involved. I see people making the arguments of why the Steelers aren't involved, but I think it would take the Steelers to the next level. But rumors are they are out of discussions. They are no longer involved. So right now, Brandon Aiyuk has to sit there and decide whether he wants to stay on the Niners, choose the Browns and create a contract extension, or choose the Patriots and get a contract extension. And that kind of leads me to one of the things I love that Bill Simmons does, in an angle he thinks about all the time that I think is a good way to look at it, is who leaked this and how did this get out there? Because a lot of times you hear after these stories, you're like, oh, this player ended up choosing between these two teams, like with the Russell Wilson. We didn't hear any. Russell Wilson gets traded to the Broncos. We don't hear anything. And then like a year or two later, we hear, oh, he got to choose between like the Eagles and the Broncos, and he didn't want to go to Philly. And it's like these things come out after. Rarely do we ever hear before a trade happens, hey, this player now has offers from these two teams and he gets to choose. So I was curious, like, who does it help leaking this story? Is it the Niners leaking this story, trying to maybe get another team to jump in, maybe help their image because people think they're just not doing anything with this situation, so it helps their image to say, hey, we're trying, we have a deal done. I think it's the Niners leaking it, saying, hey, we're doing all we can. It's on Aiyuk, because the Niners are getting tons of criticism of, oh, you can't let this keep going. Do something. So this is the Niners' way of leaking this and saying, hey, we're doing our part. It's Aiyuk that we're waiting on. I think that's the most likely, but there's also a situation where Aiyuk is leaking this out to say, hey, I'm getting a lot of interest. Anyone else want to pay up the bag? Say like basically saying to the Browns, hey, I put it public that the Patriots are also involved. Up your offer. Hey, and the other way that could be involved. I don't see why the leaks would help from the Patriots or the Browns side. So it's either Aiyuk or the Niners leaking this, but just an interesting thing to think about. I think it's the Niners' way of trying to save face a little with all the criticism they're getting. Anyways, let me know what you guys think about this Brandon Aiyuk situation. Maybe do a video when it comes out, but just in terms of fantasy potential, because I love that Ricky Pearsall through the roof if he goes to the Patriots. If he goes to the Browns and Amari Cooper comes back, I don't think his value goes up as much through the roof, but it definitely still goes up just with Aiyuk not re-signing. If he goes to the Patriots, I think Aiyuk's value I don't know if it goes up or down because he's going to get way more targets in New England, but he's going to be way less efficient on those targets. So I think it kind of stays middling. I think his value goes down a little if he goes to Cleveland because he's still going to have great quarterback play, but there's just going to be a little more competition there for targets, even though he's a dog. But like they got Jerry Jeudy, Elijah Moore, David Njoku. We know they want to run the ball, especially if Nick Chubb comes back healthy. So his fantasy value could go a little bit of ways. I think Amari Cooper's fantasy value drops though if he goes to the Niners because part of why he was so good in Cleveland is because he's getting 10 to 15 targets a game. So if he gets traded, I think Amari Cooper's value drops a little. And then it becomes a little tougher. The New England Patriots receivers right now, we're looking at like Jalen Polk and Javon Baker, which dude's going to step up. I think it's going to be a little bit harder for them to make a big role in their first year, especially if Ayuk comes to the team. So another thing to watch out for. But let me know where you think Ayuk's going, and if he does get traded, I'll come back and we can share our thoughts and more in-depth details about that. Make sure you subscribe if you're enjoying the channel and like the video if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you for the next one. Thank you for watching.